Gig Gab, episode 490 for Monday, July 14th, Bastille Day, or as I will mispronounce it, Fête de Nationale 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Gig Gab, the show by, for, and about working musicians. Here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton. Our sponsors this week include a new sponsor, although not a new topic to the show. Gigperformer.com/giggab is where you can go to get 10% off Gig Performer, which is a plug-in host, an audio mixer, backing tracks player, all giving you real-time control for your live rigs. So many different use cases. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. For now, like I said, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton, and our guest co-host today needs no introduction, but I will make one up anyway. The second known person to be quoted for saying, "There is no bread, let them eat cake," Mike Schulte is here with us on Bastille Day. Mike, thank you for coming back on the show.
Well, I got to give you a quick update here. So I live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. That is where the pork tornadoes are from.
Yes.
Around the state. We had a small run in Minnesota near the Twin Cities over the 4th of July. And this incredible committee, I think he's the head of the committee of this little festival in Eagan, Minnesota, immediately came up to me. He's like, "Dude, heard you on Gig Gab, man. I love when you're on Gig Gab. It's all." His name's Andy Schmitz. He's incredible. Runs an amazing festival, and it's always wild because somehow in your brain you still think that like it's just me and you having a conversation, and that and that like 5 people maybe heard it, but
right.
It's wild when you get out there and someone that you would never think like would have heard it. It's like, oh yeah, I love that show. I love that podcast. So shout out to Andy. He's out there listening, and he runs an incredible festival out there. Amazing.
I love that. I love stories like that. I love the encounters like that, right?
Yep.
You know, where you aren't expecting it, and then there it is. And that is a long-winded way, a podcaster's way of saying thank you to everyone who listens. You like simply listening to the show is absolutely amazing, and being subscribed and all that stuff. When we hear from you, that's even better. And you can, obviously contact us, feedback@giggabpodcast.com. But yeah, simply listening and being you, that makes you part of the Gig Gab family, and I freaking love it. That's why I keep doing the show.
Yeah, that's the only reason. You can't stop. Yeah. It's you're 490 episodes in. Like I know. How do you make that decision to stop that? That's hard.
Oh, no, I'm too dumb to quit, Mike.
Yep.
Look at all my other business ventures. We held on to Mac Observer from 1998 until 2021 when the exact right deal came at the exact right time. And it was like, yes, I'm ready to divest myself of this asset that we've built. But it took we should have probably done that 10 years in, not 20 plus years in. So
people are always asking me, they're in my DMs like, "Dude, so I got this podcast. Like, how do I get my podcast to like the Confused Breakfast level? And hey, my cover band's been around for a year. Like, how do I get to the Pork Tornadoes level?" It's literally just keep going. That
don't
is the
stop.
Answer. You can't stop. You just have to keep going. Otherwise, everyone else is going to fall off eventually, and if you just keep going, then you'll be the one. Just keep doing it.
When I started podcasting with Mac Geek Gab in 2005, I was, of course, the day that I started, the new podcaster, right? And that mentality still lives in me somewhere, right? Partially because when I go to podcast conferences, I meet up with all of my friends who were podcasting before me, right?
Yep.
So I never feel like the old wise one in the room. I feel like the new guy because I can point to people. I'm like, no, but he's been doing it longer, and so is he, and so is she.
Exactly.
Right. But at some point, as my friend Todd, who has been podcasting longer than me, said to me, he's like, well, yeah, but that's a couple of months. He's like, it's kind of a rounding error at this point, Dave. He's like, you're past 20 years, and I'm like, Yeah, but like still, you've been longer. He's like, but not really.
But not by much. Once you get to that point, like 22 years is not much longer than 20 years, my friend.
Right, exactly. And it's not even that. It's like 20 years and 1 month versus 20 years
Yes,
and
of course.
5 months.
Yep.
Right, because podcasting didn't really start until August of 2004. So I was in the first year. But anyway, that's enough about me for now, although I guess half this episode will probably be about me.
Right.
So, whatever. Let's do something about you, though. You've had some interesting. So you had this run-in with Andy
Yep.
at a festival. Listener Andy, wonderful. Pick one of your stories that you put on the list and tell it. I'll let you pick the order of these.
Good Lord. It's
tales.
it just seems like since the last time we talked, it's just nonstop things. I think the important thing that I've thought about, the first thing that popped in my head here recently was dealing with a rainout situation, right?
Oh yeah.
When you're in the Midwest, especially, your entire May through October is outside. Like I will have one indoor show over the course of like 6 months, and I think it's because it's like a private wedding or something like that indoors. The rest of it's outdoors, and you're doing that dance where you're like on Monday looking at the extended forecast for Saturday, which is, by the way, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's whatever it tells you on Monday, just don't even look at this point, because it doesn't make any sense to look. But it's going to change. And even with these incredible connections that I have a meteorologist friend, direct text message line, and
Sure.
his name is Kai O'Mara, and he loves the weather so much, and he loves talking about it, that if I'm like, hey man, so I'm going to be in this town, we're going to load in at this time, and we're supposed to play from this time to this time, and then we should be closed trailer door by this time. What do you think's going to happen? And 9 times out of 10, his prediction is different than what your weather forecast says and the percentages. And too many people rely on, well, it says 30% at 7:00. It's like, it doesn't matter. It will do what it does.
It's 100% raining or it's 100% not.
Yes.
That's it. It's a binary thing. Is there rain falling from the sky? Yes or
Yes.
no? That's it.
And we've learned a lot over the years. There's one particular gig that I look to as the thing that makes us, we are the wise people. We've been doing this, Mr. Festival owner who just does his festival for the first time this year. We've been in this situation so many times. So here's what's going to happen. The one that we learned from was 2018. There was this big stage set up for this huge town festival outdoors. And we're looking at the radar all day going, oh my good Lord, there's a massive rainstorm coming at some point. And most weather forecasts would tell you, it's going to hit. It's going to hit. But then once it's done, it should be fine. That was the general forecast. Like the front had moved on, beautiful night. And we got there and kind of told the festival owner, hey, we'd like to maybe push everything back a little bit. And that's like, what? No, you can't. You have to be sound checked by this time so that the opening band can be on. So, because the opening band has to start at 6, like they were just caught up in this schedule when in reality, their schedule was never going to work because there was this big storm coming.
Yes. We are simply planning for the thing
Yes.
that's definitely happening.
Yes. And we did not use our authority and our contract wisely at that moment. We said, okay, you know what? Fine. We set up, we backlined everything, we sound checked, and then we got ready to get off the stage as the opener was getting ready to go on. And sure enough, just torrential downpour for about an hour and a half. Sideways rain. We put tarps over everything. The wind actually went so crazy that it caught our keyboard player's rig like a sail, and just bam, everything fell over, hit the ground, broken gear, an inch of rain on the stage. Electronics are all wet. And sure enough, it passes, and the most beautiful night of the summer commences. The most perfect weather. And guess what? People start rolling in with their lawn chairs and their coolers. And yeah, the music should have started by about right now. And maybe you could get up running soon. purchasers coming over going, let's do this. And we're like, do you see what just happened? Our stuff's broken. Like, we don't even know if any of this works. And you have an inch of water on the stage.
Yeah, that you need to deal with.
Yes.
We have gear we need to deal with.
Yes.
You have a wet stage that you need to deal with. This
so we
is
had
a team effort.
Yes, we had a major problem because festival organizer couldn't figure out why we couldn't play. And crowd is showing up going, let's go. This is going to be beautiful. Crowd doesn't understand what just happened.
Someone needs to tell them. Yes.
Yep. And so we learned a valuable lesson that night that, like, if this is going to happen, use your powers, use your authorities to readjust. Because if we had kept the trailer door closed that entire time, and then once that passed and we got the squeegees and the leaf blowers and everything, clear that stage off, yeah, sorry, opener's not going to play tonight, but we'll be on and ready to give you the show that you need. And we took that to heart a couple years ago. The same thing happened. We stuck to our guns. We didn't open the trailer door, and sure enough, that gig got canceled completely instead of all of our stuff being up there. But this past weekend, same thing's happening, right? We're pulling into town going, oh, good Lord, we're supposed to be unloading right now, but it's not going to happen. And sure enough, a big line of storms comes through, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and we kept our trailer door closed. We worked closely. We talked with the committee member just the entire time, back and forth, going, here's our new schedule. Let's wait. Let's figure out this. And sure enough, it made it to the point where it actually never. It was never going to happen. The rain finally stopped, but then by the time we would have set up and played, curfews wouldn't have happened. So I guess the lesson here is that you're going to get weather. You know you're going to get rain. You have, dare I say, more to lose sometimes than the festival owner, especially if they have rain insurance and they have 4 nights of this thing that they're making money on one night. Okay, so what? But
what? Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So if you can learn from the experience of us, like, if you setting up now, staying on schedule results in all of your gear getting destroyed and you not being able to play the show, you got to have a conversation with some people, and that usually helps bring everyone involved into a corner.
Yes.
Let's just talk. Let's talk about this.
When I was doing a lot of computer consulting, I would arrive. This is related. This is going somewhere, folks. But bear with me. I would arrive, and it would be someone sitting there, like, versus their computer. Like that was the thing, right? And so this is someone sitting there versus the rain, right? And I knew that my first job was not to figure out what was wrong with the computer. My first job was to make sure that I was in everyone's mind, like, sitting on the same side of the table as the person. So it was me and them versus their computer, as opposed to them versus me and their computer. Because if I somehow, and I did this because I didn't know any better many times initially, if I somehow got into the role of siding with the computer, it was a losing battle for me.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I'm here to help you with your problem, right? This is your festival and there is rain. I have experience with this and I can help, right? But like you said, getting everybody together, that is that moment of getting on the same side of the desk where it's everyone versus the rainstorm, because the rainstorm is immutable. You might not know what's going to happen, but you certainly can't control what's going to happen, right?
And as it gets closer and closer, you can almost with certainty be like, this is going to happen. This thing's going to happen.
Of course. You can watch, weather maps and know how that works. So
but
I have two questions. Did the gig? Is your keyboard player's gear okay? And did the gig happen?
So from that one I was talking about with the keyboard stuff from 2018. That was from 2018. So we had some problems.
I see. Okay,
and that was part of the rest of the issues. That then we were supposed to play the next night, and we had like all this stuff to deal with that was going to affect the next night too, Sure. So yeah, no, this gig on Saturday did not
the recent
happen.
Gig. Okay.
Yes, it did not happen. It just was not possible to get everything up there. And that goes with the communication level too. This incredible guy, Michael, running the festival, just was kind of like, well, we'll end the band early and you'll get all your stuff. You have to remind them that this all takes a while to get up and running, and then there are sound checks, and there are sometimes they've got so much going on for these festivals and all the other things that they're worrying about that in their brain it's just the band shows up at this time and they play at this time, and they just need to be reminded that
there's a process.
Better. There is a process here, and everything went so well. The communication of it went so well. Our willingness to, well, let's maybe we try this and let's wait for this time went so well that we're coming back next year. We already got invited back for next year. Like, let's redo it. The majority of non-drunk people in the town completely understood what was going on. Couple people like scared of rain. It's like, well, you don't know what.
Yeah.
This, okay, no problem, man.
As I said to my family, we were at an Old Dominion show the other night, which was great. But we had some people behind us that wanted to chit chat while the band was playing loudly, and I reminded my family, I'm like, if you try to negotiate with them, it's not them you are negotiating with, it's alcohol, and you can't negotiate with alcohol. Usually, if you are going to negotiate with alcohol, you need to do it on an emotional level, not on a scolding level, right? Yes. Because that's the only way that works, and rarely. I have a question for you about something you mentioned a couple times, though. You said, when you know better, and I'm paraphrasing, exercise the authority in your contract. What authority do you put in your contract to allow you to exercise that?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the actual verbiage in there.
No, I'm just looking for a general gist. We can all take the gist and feed it into ChatGPT and have it turn it into legal language. That's fine.
Yeah, and again, I'm not the contract guy, so I'm not fully certain on this. But I mean, it is very protective. It's like we're getting paid regardless. We reserve the right to decide if the show is going to happen or not. I mean, it's a lot of. You should know what you're getting into going into it. I mean, like we drove 3 different vehicles, 5 hours to get there, and then spent 5 hours on site. Like you should still be getting paid for this. It's not a, well, it didn't happen. I guess you can keep your money kind of a thing. So there was still payment involved. And then, I believe there is some verbiage in there that just says, if any decisions, like if we can make decisions that can avoid resulting in like damaged equipment or injury and things like that, we reserve the final right to make that call kind of
Got
thing.
It. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
definitely not an attorney, okay?
No. That's enough to give people a gist of where to go with this, for sure. Yeah, it's because like you said, it allows you the flexibility of when you choose to exercise that. Like, okay, we've evaluated the risks. We've been here before. We need to lean on this thing that we've already agreed to together and work out a new schedule for the day based on what we know and what we need to protect. That kind of thing.
And that actually leads into something else too, that the same thing happened earlier in the summer where there was rain. There was rain very early in the afternoon that then gave way to a beautiful evening where we were supposed to be setting up at noon, where rain's not over until 2. And now all of a sudden you're running into gates opening. There's other things happening, so it's not just a musical.
Yeah, you're a cog in the wheel.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we made the call to. Normally, the Pork Tornadoes will arrive early. We will completely set up all of our stuff. We will do a full-blown line check, and then our entire back line stays completely put, doesn't move. We will strike pedal boards and mic stands up front, and then the opener gets whatever space is left. I mean, that's a traditional summertime gig for us.
That's how it works. Yep.
Yeah. And so we're sitting here looking at the timing going, you know what? We're not going to be able to get fully set up and get up on that stage and sound checked in order to then let the opener also get up and then get fully sound checked and then play. And in a conversation with the committee member, we're having these conversations. We decided that we would just not set up and we would let the opener take the stage, do their show, and then we would just set up and throw and go. Like just go.
Yep.
And we very rarely do that. We have way too much gear. We have a very long, intensive setup. And the point I'm trying to make here is that when you surround yourself with good band members, good production crew, good crew members, if you have that, I'm an anxious guy when it comes to this stuff. Like, basically our sound guy goes, dude, I got your file from last night. This is the exact same rig, the exact same setup. I'm just going to go with it. We don't even need, just make sure that I'm getting signal and everything. And you guys should just play.
Line checks are you never skip line checks.
Yes. Yeah. We need to make sure the signal's coming through and it's
yes.
patched right. And so our crew went up there, set up everything, made sure notes and signal was coming through everything. And then we walked on stage having never even been on that stage yet, having never played a sound check yet, having never checked our in-ears mix, and we just walked on stage and played, and it was completely flawless thanks to an incredible crew, an incredible front of house person who you know and trust. I wouldn't do that with anybody. I would do that with our guy who knows us and who has files and is ready to go. And also, that's another testament to in-ear monitors, guys.
Oh, I was going to say the in-ear monitors that we talked about it the last time, having a splitter snake, like all of that stuff lets you do exactly that, because you can record. It's the same gear as last gig.
The same microphones,
same humans as last gig. Yep. Well, that matters, right? Because you sing at a certain level, and gain needs to be set on your microphone for you. But that's okay, like fine, But then being able to just recall that file and say, it worked 24 hours ago or less. It's going to work.
And
it's going to be okay.
Tweaks, but it's going to come out of the gate very passable. Where
for everyone, for your ears, for the audience, for everyone. Yes.
And the testament to the in-ears is not only did all of us be able to hear everything we wanted right away and have full control over it moving forward. Imagine that sound check. I think we've all been there before, where there is a crowd of 1,000 people standing in front of you, looking at you, assuming you're going to be playing music, but you're just doing I need more kick. Can I get a little less of the guitar there? Like, no one wants to hear that. No one wants to see that. And if you're in a situation with weather delays, you don't give the people that, because that's just a terrible way to start
that's
off.
not a fun show.
No.
And yet it is the beginning of your show if that's what's happening. Right? Like that. I know I said this the last time when we recently with Casual moved to using a splitter snake. I thought it was going to add time to our setup because I'm the one that knows the most about it. And also, it turns out, as a drummer, I'm the one that has the most of my own gear to set up, too. So I did some proactive stuff that we talked about, getting the band sort of up to speed and all of that. But there's still added work for me on this. And yet, because we get to avoid the, hey, I need more of that, less of this, it shaves, no joke, 30 minutes off of our previous times. And we get to the end of the first set, and everybody in the band says, that's the best ears mix I've ever had.
Yep, weird.
And my response to them is, and it only continues to get better from here, because I save it at the end of every set.
Okay, what are the endless benefits of in-ear monitors? Number one, you avoid the longer sound checks.
As long as you can control them yourself. Yes. If you're trying to deal,
correct.
If a front of house and
splitter snakes, IEMs,
but if you're at a club where they either can't or don't let you mix your ears yourself on stage, I won't do this, but it is better if you just use wedges and don't use in-ears, because wedges. There's a lot more flexibility that a performer can take in terms of the mix in a wedge versus the mix in one's ears. The mix in your ears has to be pretty close to perfect. Yeah. Otherwise, it's terrible.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's not a whole lot of buffer room there.
And the worst thing you can be doing is the people that pull one ear out. Like, just
no.
don't. Like, that is the worst thing you can be. Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? Right. So if you can't control it yourself, then all bets are off. But otherwise, yes, 100%. Like that's the benefits. And I know we say this every time, so I'm not going to let us go too far with this.
Well, one thing is, I've been playing the drums for 33 years now, and drumming is a very loud instrument. And then, of course, not only just the drumming of it, then you start getting into rock bands, and now you've got loud guitars around you, and then you start getting into the world where your monitor wedge is right up here against your left ear at every show you've ever played in. And like, you're a young kid, you don't think about the hearing stuff. I never wore like hearing protection as a young kid, but the thing that I'll look back on the most of the best decision we ever made was the in-ear monitors for just saving my hearing, man. I had a hearing screening like a month ago.
Yep.
It's like, oh geez, here we go. And of course, the audiologists are always like, you should just stop playing music. Like, I'm trying to tell her how good it is that I'm doing in here. She's like, it's still not good. I'm like, but it's better than what I was doing. Chill out, lady.
Yeah.
But they did the test, and like, my hearing's pretty darn, like, they were like, satisfactory. You're good, except for they do the thing where it goes through the frequencies. Yeah. And all of a sudden it just faded away. And then came back, and she's like, about 4K is just completely gone for you. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. She's like, did you have like, she said, especially in your left ear, did you have like really loud noises in your left ear? I'm like, for about a decade, just a monitor wedge in my left ear. She goes, well, that'll explain it. So 4Ks, there will be noise, like somebody in our, we'll plug in everything, put our ears. Somebody's like, what's that digital buzz? I'm like, I don't hear it. Like,
interesting.
I have no clue what buzz that is. But the rest of my spectrum is great, and I know it would be so much worse if we hadn't switched over.
Yes. It allows you to stop the bleeding, as it were, right?
Yes.
But it only allows you to. It doesn't automatically do that.
Correct.
If you turn your in-ears up to the same level as your monitor wedge, I know logically what I'm saying makes sense, but most of us don't think about it because when we transition from wedges to ears, we want to hear the same thing. Yeah. You don't want the same thing. You want it quieter, and it's a very difficult thing to do. And I know we've talked about this a lot on this show about how to go about that, starting at 0, bringing things up, not starting it like loud and bringing things down. But yeah.
You know what I've been doing lately, and I don't know if this is a good idea. I will, when I'm mixing it in sound check, I will get it to like like let's rock and roll level. Like it's a little a little hot. My main mix is a little hot, and then once we get done, I will take that headphone amp and just a little bit lower. I will bring it down so that I don't know what that's going to sound like, and when I get up, I'm just going to assume that that's what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Because that's just where I like to live, just a little bit under where I'm partying.
Yes. That's a really smart thing. The other thing, especially, and I know I've talked about this on the show, but if you're playing in a band with like loud guitars and powerful, high frequency vocals, scooping out that 2.5 to 3,000 hertz range, 2.5K to 3K, just a gradual scoop in that range, just taking out maybe 3-4 dB, life-changing for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Because that's where all that energy lives, and that's how I think about sound is like there's different pockets of energy and they shouldn't be overlapping with each other and all that stuff. But like that's where a lot of that guitar and those like Motley Crue and Journey and like all those vocals are living in that same range. Just scoop a little bit of it out. And I mentioned it to our lead singer in Casual, and he's like, "Oh, can you do that for me?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, but you might not like it."
Right,
because that's where you live. It's like I'm literally taking some aspect, but not all of you out. And he's like, "Well, try it. Like, let me know, or I'll let you know." And we did, and of course, we finished whatever the song or the set. I can't remember if it was rehearsal or a gig or whatever. And he's like, "That's so much better." And I'm like, "Great, Okay, perfect then.
Awesome.
Yeah, great. Yeah. All right, I have lots of things that we need to do that I want to talk about here. The next thing that I want to talk about is our sponsors. Because, well, you know our motto, always be performing, and this applies to our gear and our rigs too, right? And this is the thing I love about our sponsor, Gig Performer, the software platform that brings all your plugins, your hardware, your backing tracks, and brain power together in one solid, stable, no glitch zone for live performance. Look, we've all either been there or been worried about being there. That one crash mid-set that makes your soul leave your body. Gig Performer, rock solid. It's like having a drummer that always shows up on time and with extra sticks. Wait, what's that supposed to mean? Anyway, it's flexible as heck. VSTs, hardware, backing tracks, patch changes. It handles it all. You can build your dream rig using their super clear wiring view and customize it with widgets, variations, and a setlist view that actually makes sense. Ruben Valtierra, yes, Weird Al's keyboardist, said he went from programming shows in 3 months to 3 days with Gig Performer. That's the kind of time savings that gives you your life and your sanity back. And if you want to downsize, many musicians are ditching pedal boards and keyboards for a laptop, a controller, and Gig Performer. So visit gigperformer.com/giggab or use code GIGGAB at checkout for 10% off. That's GIGPERFORMER.com, gigperformer.com/giggab, or use code GIGGAB at checkout for 10% off. Make your rig lean, mean, and always be performing. No crashes required. And our thanks to Gig Performer for sponsoring this episode. And hey, while I've got you here, if your heart skips a beat when you hear a keyboard riff from 1984 or a power ballad that still gives you chills, then you've got to check out our friends at the Excellent 80s Rewind podcast. It's a weekly show hosted by Gary Teal, and it's like flipping through a musical time capsule. Each episode revisits a specific week from the greatest decade in pop music, playing the songs that defined that moment and tossing in fun facts, headlines, and hidden gems along the way. It's not just a playlist, it's a ride through memory lane with the top down and the radio up loud, perfect for longtime fans of the 80s or anyone looking to discover what made that era so magical. So grab your Walkman or, just your phone and search for the Excellent 80s Rewind at wave80hits.com, wave80hits.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Your ears will thank you, and our thanks to Gary and the team over there for doing this promo swap with us. So, Mike, your story about sort of in a general sense, dealing with rigidity in the minds of your fellow collaborators reminded me of a thing I'm going through right now. We're recording this a few days early, as we usually do, and I am in the middle of this Fleetwood Mac tribute night that we're doing at this local theater. We do these usually on Wednesday nights, and we're recording this on Wednesday morning. We had a rehearsal last night, our second rehearsal, and then the gig is tonight. And I mentioned, this is relevant to this, I mentioned last week with Chinner that I had some kind of like headache fever thing. It turns out I have some sort of sinister virus, but it's a non-contagious kind. It's probably like a muted presentation of shingles, we think. I'm vaccinated for it, so it makes it really hard to kind of like put a finger on it, but it has developed into something that might be, or at least has symptoms that resemble viral meningitis, which is a scary word, but really what it means is the tissue surrounding your spinal cord and your brain get a little inflamed. And so I'm stuck with like headaches. I have to have caffeine is like the thing that helps with that. And there's some other fun symptoms like muscle pain and that sort of just go along with this. So, but I'm a little bit foggy, partially due to the medication that I'm on and partially due to just, not sleeping enough and, just kind of general malaise. And so that was the backdrop to this scenario. we are doing lots of different sort of. We're doing a bunch of Fleetwood Mac songs. We're doing all of Rumors, and then some other sort of greatest hits thrown in, plus some, Stevie Nicks solo stuff and that kind of thing. And it's all great. Like, and all the performers. The one, and this perhaps is the blessing and the challenge. I don't want to call it a curse because it's definitely not a curse. This is done at a theater where there is usually just musical theater shows being put on, which means that the people involved are, all of us are able to play musical theater and do musical theater. Some of us only do musical theater these days, right? Or maybe the right way to say it is there's some of us that came from rock and roll and can do musical theater, and then there's some of us that came from musical theater and can do rock and roll. And that makes for an interesting thing in certain scenarios. And we have one of them. We're closing the show with an arrangement of Rhiannon that comes from this 1976 Midnight Special show that Fleetwood Mac did. It's a rocked up version of Rhiannon, and it has this it's several epic builds and swells that it's a great way to close the show. Normally, when I saw Rhiannon on the list to close the show, I'm like, it's going to be kind of like, wah, wah, wah.
You sure?
Yeah, is that what you meant to put there? Right? You sure there's not something after that? But then I heard this version. I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay, and it's the woman singing it, Alex. She's a powerhouse singer. Like, it's such a pleasure working with her. She is. If I am the rock and roll guy that can do musical theater, she is the musical theater person that can do rock and roll. And so when presented with this arrangement of this song, we both saw it very differently. I saw it and I pitched this to the band last night, because there was some discussion of, okay, we should play it exactly as it is, including the number of measures for the guitar solo, the number of measures for the keyboard solo. And it was like, my brain hurts. I don't want to count, And as I watched the video of this performance, it was like, okay, wait a minute. What happened here is super obvious to me. This was this version of this song was the result of a probably 30-second conversation backstage where probably somebody very coked up because it was Fleetwood Mac. So this checks out. Said, "Hey, let's play Rhiannon, but let's play it faster and rock it up." And somebody said, "Yeah, and let's get really big with a guitar solo or something, and then bring the energy way down, and then let Stevie sing us out and build at the end." Because it turns out, as we all know, Stevie Nicks is really good at kind of being like a guitar solo instrument, right? Like, she has the ability to just keep singing and doing her thing and twirling and just making this huge epic ending. And they were like, right, yeah, got it. And I think that was the beginning and the end of the conversation. And so I presented this to the band last night, and I was like, I think that's how the genesis of this was, because it was as much as listening to it, watching them interact on stage, it was clear that they were looking at each other for the end of solos.
Yeah, of course.
Right. It's like, fine, great, like a band does. And our singer, Alex, who had brought this song in and had prepped it, was like, well, but then I won't know where to come in. I know that the guitar solo is 20 bars, and then I know there's 8 more bars of this, and that's when I start coming in with the thing. And I was like, right, but we could just take the 20 bars out, and when the guitar solo ends, start counting the 8 there. And she's like, and I was like, just that way we don't have to worry about counting the guitar solo, and we can kind of let it breathe. Yeah. And if it only goes 16 bars, that's okay. If it goes 32 bars, also okay. Whatever happens in the moment is going to serve the goal of what I perceive to be the goal, this swelling of energy, better than trying to hit a mark. And because nobody learned the solo note for note, right? And that, I think that was the issue, is she learned the vocalizations, all of the Stevie Nicks stuff, note for note.
Right.
And she's the only one that learned it note for note, right? So it was like, okay, And I was like, all right, fine. Like, and it was clear. And I made my pitch and I said, look, I'm going to make this pitch. If the decision is to not go with this and say, Dave, forget about it, you do it the other way, I'm here. I'm not here to thieve anyone's joy. Like if, we all need to be happy with this. I'm just pitching what I think is the way that this worked for them. And we should capture that, not try to match that arrangement. Because the guitar solo went 20 bars. But if you watch them, it was Stevie thought it was supposed to go 16. Right. Lindsay was cooking at 16 and kind of shook off the pitch, when she was like, no. And he's like, no, I get to keep playing and it's a guitar. Like it's the loudest friggin' thing on the stage. And so it took 4 more bars for her to like rein Lindsay in, which is kind of fun. Like, right. That's part of the magic of that. But like, we're not doing that.
No, we want to be like, this is what we're doing. Not.
Yeah. And so so I made my pitch and it was summarily dismissed, which is fine. Yeah. It was like, okay. And then, so it was like, great, let's play it. And we played it. And we played a 20-bar guitar solo. And then we played 8 bars of what effectively in this version is a very low energy keyboard solo. It's more the keyboard Christine McVie was filling in with like little plunky things to keep it from being super boring.
Right.
But it never built. Like it was super quiet and low to set up this ending. And we played 8 bars of that. And then we played another 8 bars of that. And after 4 more bars of that was when she came in. So clearly there's a mismatch in at least what was communicated for the counting. I don't know. And so after it, our keyboard player very judiciously came in and said, I feel like we could just make the guitar solo go a little longer, maybe split the difference in that. I knew what he was acknowledging and saying. It didn't need to be said. Like there was no, I told you so. Like, cause that's not like, and I wasn't even feeling I told you so. I was like, all right, well, it's just,
this is what we're going to do now.
This is what we're going to do now. Like, okay, So the decision was made to make the guitar solo go like maybe 24 bars or something, because clearly there's a mismatch in counting that we were not going to be able to communicate to each other efficiently in that moment. But it was an interesting negotiation, and this isn't just like this happens when you mix theater people and rock and roll people. I mean, it sometimes does, but it also happens in bands all the time where somebody brings a song in and is like, this is the way I know it because it's my favorite version of this, which is exactly what I think happened here. So truly no different than any rock band. And the rest of the band's like, so it's not it turns out it hasn't been my favorite version for the last 20 years. I don't know it intimately. Yeah. So either you need to conduct it for us or we need some flexibility in how we arrange this so that it works, especially for a one-off show. Like if we were doing this in a scenario where it was like being added to the list, then we could, come up with a regimented thing and find what works and all that stuff. But
that's just a reminder.
It was interesting.
No, that's just a reminder of just how truly intricate these bands are that we're in, right? Like the fact that like it's hard enough for you and your partner, your wife, your husband or whatever, to have those like decisions between 2 people. But now you're making all these decisions between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. And it just shows the importance of putting the right people in place. Like,
yes,
I don't care your talent level anymore after all these years of playing in bands. I need you to understand the assignment more than I need you to be really good at your instrument because you're never going to have a complete 100% like agreement on something for the most part. Someone's going to bring the song just like you said, and then there's going to be those conversations and you have to know the other people in your band and how they react to situations, and you have to know what you're willing to give and take in these things because it's not going to be fun if you guys fought about this for 2 weeks.
Oh no.
And then eventually played it. It's going to be stupid.
It would be stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you could at least go, well, 85% of my idea made it into that. I'm happy. And I know that this other person really likes that part of it. And it's like a big deal to them. So I'm going to be happy for this. Like, and it's all about those concessions. It's such a wild, wild dance to be involved in this stuff.
It really is. And there's a maturity that I didn't always have which
No,
kind of makes sense.
I didn't know this at all times. I'm just
Right.
now knowing this.
Right.
Okay?
But like I knew that this might land poorly, right? And so
you can see it coming ahead in advance.
Correct.
Yes.
And this is not the hill I need to die on at all. But I did know that this was going to be an easier way for those of us that were not the one person that to whom this matters most, right? For us to all kind of get through this. And a lot of these sort of one-off gigs, I hate to say it because we really do prioritize putting together an excellent show. However, a lot of it is survival mode, right? Yeah. It's how do we get through this song so that we can get through the next one, right? Because we're doing it one time. And then that's it. And we might revisit some versions of these down the road, but probably not. So it's like it's not we don't have, and it's also not worth spending the time to really come up with like definitive arrangements for this stuff that we hash out back and forth and pour emotional energy into. And so because of that, I've learned with these things, if someone's there, like if somebody brought emotional energy to this at the beginning, I need to respect that because I don't have the time to work that through the system. It's just going to be there. And that's why I said what I said. I'm like, look, feel free to tell me that this is, it's a bad idea. But I need to know that I at least presented it.
Yeah, of course.
And then it can be dismissed. That's totally fine. And I pretty much verbatim said those words. Like, I'm just saying this so that now it's not in the back of my head like, maybe this would have been better if I had said something, right? Or easier or whatever. And I said it, and like I said, it was like there was a conversation about it, but all the options that came up were some version of what if we just pretend you didn't say that at all, and it wasn't dismissive,
of course.
But those were the things that
was
were
a vibe.
I don't think it was an intentional vibe. Like it felt like a very productive conversation, but there was no wiggle room. And as soon as I heard two versions of there's no wiggle room, it was like, okay, great. We're going to do it that way. That's fine. Like, I know how to count 20 bars. Like, it's even though I'm in a brain fog, like, it's going to be okay. I can count 20 bars. I've done it before. I'll do it again. And if I mess it up, somebody will look at me and then it's all good,
Well, so, even in the most experienced bands out there that have been around the longest, that have had the same members in them, if you think they're playing a 2-hour show, and if you think every note in the 2-hour show has been agreed upon by all 4 members, and every song placement and every song choice has been 100% approval rating from every member, you're nuts. Like, I know there are some bands out there that need 100% approval for any decision they make, and it's like, ugh. That even gets a little slippery slope for me. We're 4 people and three wins it. Like if someone is just violently against this song and the other three people say we're doing it, then you just go, all right, cool,
okay,
we're doing it. Yeah,
great, yes. Like, of course you do. Unless there's always but there's extenuating circumstances, and in most bands that I've been in, especially once you're in it for a while, like. Everybody gets veto power. Now, if you over-exercise that, then there's a need for a larger conversation. Like, is this the right band for that person if they're constantly vetoing the thing everybody else wants to do?
Yeah, there's the one time where it's like, listen, I know that you 3 want to do this, but like, it's unbelievably important to me that we do not do this.
Yes, unbelievably important.
Like, no, I cannot stress to you how against this I am. Can we please talk about it a little bit further? Like, there can be those moments, but it can't be every conversation that you do that.
No. That's not
the wrong group for you.
It's just the wrong mix of people. Yes. Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I went into the conversation expecting it to be dismissed.
At least you did it, though.
But I knew that for my own edification, I just needed to know that I presented it. And if our guitar player was like, oh my God, that would be so much easier for me. I wasn't looking to like generate consensus or, foment any dissent in the ranks. But I wanted to present it, for me, and in case anybody else was like super stressed about this, then there would need to be a larger conversation, right? But nobody joined me, nor was I looking for that. I'm aware that I can be a persuasive person. I attempted not to be in that moment. It was just I'm presenting a thought, and that's all it is. But it is one thing I have learned, especially when it comes to live versions of things, is it's best not to try and capture exactly what came out the other end by the band that did it, but better to capture the thought process that went in that caused that group of 5 people to come out with what they came out with, because we're a different group of 7 people. And so
we're not on the drugs that they were on.
And we're not on those drugs, thank goodness, right? So let's feed the same input in and see what
correct.
7 come out with on the other end. That's really... And that's just experience. I've learned that that's generally better, especially when you're trying to capture a live vibe that happened, which is really what this is. Because this version is objectively terrible.
Yeah,
like
of course.
The harmonies, not our version. Our version actually turns out to be pretty good. The harmonies.
You rehearsed it.
Correct. Yes, they did not rehearse it.
They just went, cool.
Lindsey Buckingham was singing unisons with Stevie Nicks. Which is weird.
Yeah.
Like that never happened in Fleetwood Mac. They were always very intricate with their harmonies.
And this was the only time we've ever tried it, so we're just going to have to keep going.
Correct. It was just kind of a mess is really what this whole thing was. But in that mess was some beauty, and that was what we were trying to capture. So anyway.
No, that's a great sentiment. That's kind of how Pork Tornadoes are, is like someone wrote this song, someone performed this song in that moment, in that stage of their life, in that studio. We're gonna take everything they put into it, but we're gonna put it into us and what we have been listening to lately, and what my feelings of the day are, and our songs always generally tend to just become their own little version of that person's song. Because that's your version. We're gonna take the thing you did, and we're gonna kind of make our. Even if it's subtle, even if it's a subtle moment of the song,
almost
it's
certainly
different.
subtle.
It's different, yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's always subtle. Otherwise, unless it's intentionally not subtle, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I have a cool idea. All right, let's workshop that. Whatever. Yeah. All right. Of course, there's a million things that I had on the list here. There's 2 things I want to talk about, though. If you have a few minutes more, Mike. Yeah. Okay. I asked an art. You're good. Okay. I had I'm always looking for the best options for people that want to convert to in-ears, right? And custom fit in-ears, it's hard to find good, affordable. I know that we did with the All Claire stuff, and I'm happy about that. And that's still my recommendation if you want custom fit in-ears. Soundbrenner, a company that we've talked about here on the show before, has recently come out with what they call the Soundbrenner Wave, which is an in-ear monitor, a universal fit in-ear monitor. It looks to the outside person, it looks like a custom fit. It has that kind of acrylic shell, if you will, that is indicative of a custom fit. It does have an adjustable or interchangeable tips, and they sell this. They say that it's $199, or $179. I'm sorry, but currently it's $99 for a set of these. Yeah, I tried them out at said rehearsal last night, and it is a single 10 millimeter driver that's in there, so it's an actual speaker in your ear, not a set of balanced armatures. There's nothing inherently wrong with one or the other, unless you talk to Marty Garcia at Future Sonics, and then he will sing the praises correctly of using a single dynamic driver, and that's what Soundbrenner is doing here too. It's like I said, it is dual 10 millimeter dynamic drivers. Okay, this makes more sense now with what I heard. I missed their box wasn't clear. Yeah, it's interesting. The box says 10 millimeter dual magnet dynamic driver. The website says dual 10 millimeter
Yeah,
dynamic
right.
drivers. So, okay. But there are duals in there, which means there's a crossover. I did not hear any crossover dropouts, which is typical when you get into the 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 drivers per ear. They've got to make some Sophie's choices about where those crossovers kind of hit. And some people do it better than others, candidly.
Yeah.
Soundbrenner did a great job with that, because it did not sound like two speakers, except that I got very crisp, but not harsh, like very, very crisp and smooth highs, very articulate highs, a nice balanced bass response. It did not have, like with a flat EQ, it did not have a rumbly bass in my ears. I did increase the bass from the mixer in the theater. I increased the low end by about 3 dB, and that gave me the kick drum and all the things that I wanted, and it was all right there, and the ears sounded good for that. But for $99, if you're already on customs, this is a great option to put in your gig bag as a backup if you don't have a second set of customs already. And if you're not there, it is a great place to start. They are fully isolating, in my opinion. They say that they block out up to 36 dB of ambient noise. Right. So they seal.
That's half the battle right there.
Correct. Yeah. And the reason they say up to is they know that it's all about choosing the right tip. Right. So you got to do that. And they give you tons of tips with foam ear tips. And then they also have silicone ear tips that allow some ambient noise in. So if you're in that scenario where not everything can be in your ears, you can choose those tips, and then you do get some bleed. So yeah, very, very impressed with these things. The sound signature on them, the EQ is really fantastic. And like I said, extremely flexible. It's not, the bass isn't overstated. Nothing is overstated. But that gives me, as the artist, the ability to say, yeah, I want a little more bass, or I want a little more highs. And I can EQ that into them, and they respond immediately and perfectly. So really impressed. Yeah.
That's good to know. I'm in the world, and I will reiterate it. I have a backup for everything that I have. I like almost every piece of gear that I have a backup for, and I have a really old pair of JH16s.
Sure.
Like the original ones I bought. They are not doing well. And the fit, it doesn't fit my ear anymore.
Right.
The size has changed.
You've changed, yeah.
And I sent in my 64 audio A18s for just cleaning and service, and I'll use my JH16s, and they were it was not good, and they don't do any rebuilds or repairs on these anymore because they're so old. So I think I'm to the point where I do need to pick another backup pair.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if I just go with something just chill and easy like that and affordable, or if I'm so used to what I'm used to that I'm gonna need more. So I'm gonna have to do some research there.
After this rehearsal I'm like you. I have more pairs of custom fits than I know what to do with it, and I travel to every gig with probably 3.
Yeah.
Right. Seriously, because it's super important. And
yes.
Yeah. And after last night's rehearsal, I would feel comfortable having this as my backup.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that is meant to be a testament to the quality of the fit and the sound quality and all of those things. And so hopefully it comes across that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. All right. Do you have time to answer a question for me, Mike? I know we're kind of at the hour mark here.
Depends on the question.
I want to learn from you. And when I say you, I mean the Pork Tornadoes. But I know that the social media and just the social side of the band is primarily falls into your court there. What are your tips or systems for engaging with every fan? And as a byproduct of that, you build your base of super fans.
I'm sorry. Did that just come through?
It did.
I'm
but
still
that's
trying
okay.
to figure out my notifications on this computer.
That's all right. It happens. Yeah, we're real people. We do real things. Yeah.
So, like you're saying, how do you use social media to like engage with fans?
What do you use? And it might be social media, but it might be at gigs. Like, what are some of the ways that you truly, like, because you have built a base of super fans. There's people who know about you, and then there's people who are dedicated to you. How did you, like, what is and I know that there's no magic other than grinding it out, but what are the things that you do, aka to grind it out, that keep working towards that goal? Because I know it's just a system at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, because if a band of any size will have those people that have become super fans, right? And it might just be that one couple of your new band's career that like tries to come to every show, and it might be a base of 300, 400 people that you could count on to buy a ticket to almost every show.
Which is amazing, by the way. Yeah,
dude. And sometimes it's easy to forget those people, to go, well, they're always going to come, so I don't need to talk to them because they're always there, and I talked to them last weekend.
No.
I need to engage with these new. It's so important to engage mostly with these lifers, right? Because they choose to make your band a huge part of their life. And there's a reason. I think the reason people do that for us is that we are personable, and we always take the time to go, even sometimes not necessarily before the show anymore, but usually after the show. We're always hitting the merch table, or if you're walking out and you see somebody in the front row, like you make eye contact with them, we're like, yeah, good to see you, man, good to see you out here. And I think that goes a long way in just knowing their names. And a lot of times you'll get a message from them like, hey, tonight it's so-and-so's birthday and we're bringing them with us to the show. Like, would you do a shout out? Of course I will do a shout out for you. Anything to make, whether they're the lifetime fans or a new fan, anything to make them special, I think is one of the most important things you can do. Flicking your guitar picks out there at the end of the show, throwing your drumsticks, trying to find somebody who was really engaged that night. Those are the people I try to find to be like, yeah, you were partying all night. Here's a drumstick for you. Responding to, I found a lot of times responding to just almost every Facebook comment that you can is a huge deal too. Not only does that drive your engagement up, the more comments you get on stuff, but just like acknowledging to somebody that you did read it, I think it even means a lot. Put yourself in the shoes of being a super fan. I think we all have a group that maybe we would call ourselves super fans. So like, what if that band did something to you? What would be that thing to make you just be like, oh my God? Like, is it just knowing that they read your comments? Is it responding to a private message? Is it shaking your hand after the show? Like you almost have to reverse the situation, because these people, doesn't matter the level of your band, they view you as like this god, this cool thing, someone that's creating something that I love so much. So even just the acknowledgement of like, hey, I see you, I know who you are.
That person really knows. Yeah, that guy on stage knows who I am. That's a really, I think, I mean, all the things you said, especially, responding to comments on social media. The reason that builds your, engagement numbers and therefore highlights your posts more for other people is because those in general, and I know there's been a lot of talk about algorithms and all that stuff, but in general, the core of a lot of these things and these algorithms is, what do humans like the best? Because Facebook wants humans to stay on Facebook, right? So they look at what humans like the best, and then they reward that for the people, for the creators, right? And like, it's an obvious thing. So the idea of responding to people's comments, I love it. I'm a huge Bowling for Soup fan, right? I wouldn't say they're my favorite band. They're definitely not my favorite band, but I love that band. And anytime I comment something or whatever, and Jarrett Reddick likes it and replies to it or whatever, like
endorphins. Whoa.
Yeah. Or like on Twitter once, I commented on a Mike Mills post, Mike Mills from REM, and he liked it, replied, and followed me. And I screenshotted that whole thing and sent it to my family.
And guess what? Like that might be happening to these people. Like if your band like responds to something, they're probably like, you'll never believe it. The band said something to me. We get it a lot of times where we'll be like out and about or something like before or after a show, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. It's like, well, of course I'm here. I'm
in the band, aren't I?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter the level that your band is.
That's
people
the thing.
Do view you higher than what maybe you view yourself as. And so just being a normal person and being like, hi, nice to meet you. How the heck are you? Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
That might not seem like much to you, but I think that is the key to just building those longtime fans. And because guess what? Then they bring people to shows because they're so happy about you. That's all you want. You want the one person who comes to your show, who then brings 4 people to the next show. And then you definitely want to meet those 4 people because then they're going to bring 4 people each to the next show. If you're doing it right, this is your long-term play. It's every time you go somewhere, there are more and more people because they saw you last time and they brought friends.
That's it. Yes. Okay. You, not that I expected any different, but you encapsulated this perfectly. And I think that idea of putting yourself in their shoes, it's difficult for us to be like, well, I'm not a big deal. Like,
yes,
whatever.
Correct.
Right. But like we started this episode, we're setting up at a gig or whatever, and Andy came up and said, I recognize you from Gig Gab. And it's like, well, that's not a big deal. But
he's like, oh,
but
I love
for
that
him it is.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the part that we as performers and creators need to learn to accept, is that you're not a big deal in your own head. And by golly, that's a good thing. Like, we've seen the people who are big deals in their own heads, and that's freaking annoying, right? So, but acknowledging that you can be, and perhaps are, a big deal in someone else's head. And that's okay.
And as we've tightened our set list over the last couple years, we've removed every single piece of fluff in between songs. We don't speak, we don't tell jokes, we don't banter. We are just song ends, 3 seconds later, new song is starting. And it's been the greatest decision we've ever made. But the one thing it takes away is that despite what you're saying in what you're thinking in your head now, Mr. Cover Band person, nobody wants to hear you banter. They don't. It's not something they want to hear. But
unless you're actually skilled as a stand-up comedian.
But
there are some people
Mr.
who
listener, you are not.
Correct. Unless you already know that you are, and you can go do stand-up.
We thought we were very skilled at this.
I know.
And then one day we watched some old recordings and we went, what the hell are we doing? Anyway, that's me being
watch recordings of yourself,
yes.
For sure. Yeah, it's good.
So
nice.
The problem is though, we took away some of the personal, like they do want to know you and they want to know that you're thankful for being there and that you're talking to them. So we added a segment about an hour and 10 minutes into a 2-hour show. We've just blazed through 20 songs, just la 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 la. Then we stop for about 2 minutes, and I take my wireless mic up to the front, and it's usually some bit of a heartfelt speech to the crowd, like something about their town and a story of the day, and a picture. Like, it means a lot to us that you're here. Let's do a photo. So you still have to have those moments on stage of how seriously thankful you are that they're there too. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Yeah, but like you said, it doesn't need to be between every song. It just needs to happen.
Find a moment for
once. Yes, create a moment for it, right? If you're only going to do it once, you get to think before the show about what you're going to say in that moment. It doesn't just have to be whatever happens to come to mind, right? And that's better.
Yeah, like you probably saw that video from earlier in the summer where I did a speech about my daughter and how she wanted to come to the show. Like, then now you've got content. Like, the minute I was saying that, I go, oh, we got content here too. Like, of course. And it's memorable. Like, people will still be like, do you still got your daughter's picture with you? You're creating that inside information that fans know, that's a way to create those special moments.
No, I think I want to just, I know we're pushing time here, but I want to shine a light on that.
Yeah.
Creating inside information that your fans know. And you can do this in a variety of ways. You
Yeah.
just articulated one of them. But like, of all the bands that I'm a fan of, I like to know their inside jokes. And jokes isn't necessarily the only thing, but whatever is important to them, I want to know about. And then when I see them come on stage and they're wearing a t-shirt from like another band or a brand of something, and it's like, oh, right. Yeah, I know what that means to him because I've spent the time to learn about what that means to him. And now we have this connection that we don't actually have. But it's real, right? It's real for me. And like all the bands that I like have, like, they let you in to something. It might not be who they actually are, right? But it's there is a level deeper that you, as a super fan to be, can go. And creating that stuff, and a lot of it these days can be done with just those snippets like that. I mean, that was super heartfelt. And anybody watch that, and if you want to talk about a Turing test, if you don't have tears in your eyes after watching Mike share the story about his daughter, you might be a robot.
That's our test.
That's the test. You got it. But I mean, that was amazing. And now anybody who's seen that comes to the gig, and even if you don't reference it at all, they're like, "Oh, but that guy, he's a."
Or if I just started hanging
dude.
The photo from my bass drum, like,
then
they're
right,
like, there it
that's
is.
the inside
great.
joke. Like, there's
and the guy around you's like, what? That's what. Well, there's this. So
there's this thing, dude. You gotta you gotta see it, dude. Yeah, exactly.
And maybe
exactly.
Maybe one more thing. It is creating the ability. It's based on this, creating the ability for those super fans to feel holier than the rest of the fans there. Whether that's them getting called out from the stage, or them getting thrown the drumstick, or them knowing the inside jokes, that allows the super fan to be like, yes, I've done it.
Yes,
I am the best fan in this crowd.
Yes.
You know?
Right, for that moment anyway.
Yes,
you're it, buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we've all felt that. I mean, like, Fish is a band that is spectacular at this. They created a whole freaking lore about a story that doesn't exist, and like a whole land that doesn't exist, and there's songs about it, and they tie together in weird ways. And if you know how that works, then and if you're a Fish fan and you know where the Rhombus is, that puts you on a whole other level. And what I just said makes it sound like whatever sickness I have has finally taken over me. But and I understand it makes me sound insane, but talk to a Fish fan about the Rhombus, and you suddenly will elevate your status in their mind.
Exactly.
That's the thing, right?
There you go,
It's like,
man.
oh yeah, I found the Rhombus before anybody knew where it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how did you do it? Now you've got a 20-minute conversation.
He's the king. This guy's
He's
the
the
Rhombus
king. Right, exactly. He stood on top of the Rhombus. What? You know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you.
Of course, man. Always good to be here.
Yeah. I really appreciate it. And tell people where they can find you, my friend.
Yeah, check the band out. Pork Tornadoes everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, all the fun stuff. I also got a podcast called Confused Breakfast.
It's excellent.
If you like movies, if you like hearing dudes come up with funny fan theories about classic movies you used to love, that's what we do. And podcasts are all about listens, so just give us a listen. We'd love it.
That's it. That fan theory about Ferris Bueller's Day Off being a version of Groundhog Day that's been repeated over and over again.
He's just in the middle of the loop. He hasn't quite learned everything, but he's on the way.
But he's learned a lot.
Everything. Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you shared that, I was like, John Hughes is a maniac. You know, yeah.
Well,
brilliant.
see, and you're a normal person because you go, that's fun to think about. Not that's not what the plot was.
Right. Of course,
it's a John Hughes movie. That's not the plot. Like, there's no way he even considered this in his brain. But it would be about it.
Yeah, well, and he might have. Like, that's the part where it's like, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but maybe? I don't know. Yeah. It holds water.
Yes,
that's the beauty. That's the beauty
go.
of that theory, is even if it's wholly incorrect, it holds water. All right. Mike, I think you know what to do here. Folks, thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Go to giggabpodcast.com. It's good. It's a great way for us to be able to share all the links and the show notes and stuff for you. Mike, do you have anything to say?
Well, and you got to make sure you're always being performing.
That's the thing. That's it. Thanks, folks. See you next week.